Who should have killed me? But I was tired of what I had just experienced. But listening to her, I calmed down and, except for her lips and attractive body, I did not see anything. Embarrassed, I led her out with an unexpected passionate kiss on her lips. She twitched slightly, but made no attempt to pry her lips from mine. Along with this kiss, an animal appetite awakened in me. Without taking my lips from her, I eagerly felt her waist, stomach, hips, knees. She made a feeble attempt to push me away. Instantly, everything flew out of my head, except for the feeling of being close. While continuing to kiss, he squeezed her thighs with his right hand, and suddenly, in an incomprehensible way for me, she got up and, freeing herself from my passionate embrace, exclaimed,
No, no, not for nothing.
And she ran up the stairs. I was completely taken aback for a moment by complete surprise, but the next minute I was seized with rabies. How dare this girl fool me? Play hide and seek with me? I rushed after her and ended up on the second floor. The door to the small room was locked. Running into her from a run, I threw her from the hinges with a blow of my shoulder. Following the door, I also flew into the room. Mia stood by the window, leaning slightly forward. Her eyes were darting, her lips were half open, her hair was messy, and a long, thin knife was glinting in the hand raised to strike.
One step, monsieur, and I'll kill you.
The decisive statement cheered me up. I took a step forward and jumped aside in an instant. The knife whizzed a few inches away from me and stuck almost a third of the way into the wall. Perfectly. I shouted, and in one jump I was next to the girl, hugging her by the waist. She was trying to hit me in the face with her head. Despite my excellent training in various types of fighting, it was not easy for me to cope with her.
Let it go. Let me go. I'll kill you anyway. You don't know whose business you've interfered with. Who did you get in the way?
We circled the room as if in a wild dance. She hit me, bit me, and I beat her and tore off her clothes. The torn pants and blouse barely covered her body. Finally, we collapsed on the bed. I grabbed her around the waist and hugged her with all my might. She suddenly softened. Her body lost its elasticity. Her face turned pale. Her eyes closed. Heavy breathing barely came out of her chest. I loosened my grip a little and at the same moment inexplicably found myself on the floor. It was really a skillfully executed reception. A little stunned by the fall, I nevertheless quickly got to my feet. But I was too late. The devil had already managed to grab my gun, and the black eye of the gun was staring at my chest with the coldness of death. It seems to me that then, at that critical moment, I did not realize the seriousness of my situation. A feeling of lust, which grew stronger and captured me completely. I wanted to immediately take this woman, break her flexible body, kiss and bite her. I tensed and was about to lunge at her, but a dispassionate voice brought me back to reality.
One move, Monsieur Morandi, and I'll put a bullet in your hot head. Then you will probably calm down a little.
The girl felt solid ground under her, and not without reason. Her words fired me up even more, but what I heard next took me completely by surprise.
Your corpse should have been lying down there, and you would never get to Japan. But you are unlikely to get there. I have no way out. If you remain alive, then I must perish.
Did you not follow the order of your boss?
Yes, and I have to pay for it with my life.
Mia, my principle is this. The woman who found out that I am a spy must die. But for your sake, I renounce my rule and swear to save you from your boss. I solemnly swear to you.
You don't know my boss.
Your boss is my enemy and rival, and behind me is a powerful organization, the power of which you have no idea. I stretched out my hands to her and took a half step.
Stop now.
The barrel of the revolver stared relentlessly into my chest. But I already had a plan of action in my head. Everything depended on my dexterity. Mia, decide. I raised my hands above my head. You saved my life and I give it to you. I extended my hands to her again and took a step forward. She thought for a moment, but immediately ordered.
Don't move.
I saw her finger press tightly against the trigger of the gun. But I already won. Mia, I said quietly and fixed my gaze on her chest. During the struggle, The blouse tore and her bare breasts were visible in all their glory. Mia followed my gaze, and her pale cheeks flushed. She made an instinctive motion with her free hand to cover her breast, momentarily relaxing her focus on me. I was just waiting for this. As I fell, I knocked the gun out of her hands with a strong kick. She managed to fire, but the bullet went up, the gun fell to the floor. I finally gave free rein to my feelings. I tore off the remnants of her red pants, ripping them in half all the way to the bottom, and only scraps from her thin nylon panties flew to the sides. She tore my hair, and I hit her cheeks with my palm. She scratched my face. I squeezed her painfully. She grabbed my shoulder with her teeth. I squeezed her neck with one hand. I was already ready to stick my flesh into the hot abyss. I was already tense. And suddenly I heard her plaintive voice.
Maybe you have mercy on me?
It wasn't a scream, not a frantic scream, not an angry command. I heard the plea and she disarmed me instantly. Something that rarely happens to me happened. I was ashamed of my act. Why should I spare you?
I'm afraid.
You are not afraid to shoot me, but our closeness.
This is worse than a bullet.
What is worse?
Your passion.
Do you think I won't feel sorry for you? That I will be rude and merciless? You are apparently afraid of pain for the first time. Yes. Tell me, are you afraid of it? As we talked, my passion faded a little and I even felt uncomfortable. Leaning on my left arm, I was lying very uncomfortably. The desire has faded.
No, I'm scared. I know myself. I know that my heart cannot take it.
There was something strange about her words. I believed her and I didn't believe her. Listen, I told you, everything will be calm. You won't even feel pain. I will try to do it without pain. But she was lying with a petrified face, turned aside and looking somewhere at the wall. And then I noticed a glint in her eyes. You are afraid for yourself, but you yourself are ready to destroy me? She nodded her head sluggishly. That's exactly how it should have been. She must have been ordered to kill me. She failed to do so and broke her oath, broke the order. It suddenly became clear to me. Saving her, I doom myself to death. Now I ask the question, she or me? She or my death? If we connect with her and she feels a close person in me, we can save both our lives. I will help her escape the trap, free herself from the wild oath, escape their clutches. But for this I still have to master it. And do not pay attention to her pleas. Passion, pain, heart, body. Here we will unite with her and become one whole, one passion, with one heart. Otherwise, she will be snatched from my hands by my enemy, and then a corpse will really appear in this house. My corpse. I rose a little on my hands and forced myself to look at her with the eyes of a man. She lay charming, all ready for intimacy. A heat wave suddenly rushed over me and my mind was confused. With all the weight of my body, I fell on her. It is clear that her passion was on the edge for a long time. Mia still tried to resist, but we were already together. And pressing her stomach to the bed, forcing her into submission, I did not forget to kiss her passionately. All this wild bacchanalia, this frenzy could not continue for long. And it was at this moment that she particularly painfully grabbed my hair and bit my chest. As in the fog, I felt subsiding convulsions. With effort, staggering like a drunk, I slid off the bed and stood up. Consciousness slowly returned to me. Well, it must be so. If she had not given herself to me with such maddening force, her bullet would have been waiting for me. Passion judged us. Her passion protected me from death. I was completely exhausted. My head was spinning. I wanted to drink. I rearranged the suit a bit, walked over to Mia and covered her with a sheet. I felt sorry for her. We would make a wonderful pair of lovers, I thought sadly. A feeling of sadness made me lean down and kiss her forehead. Probably you shouldn't call the police, and the smartest thing is to leave this mansion as soon as possible and leave less traces behind. Picking up my gun, I went to the door. Having already crossed the threshold, I looked around. For a moment it seemed to me that the limp body of my victim, or rather his position, had imperceptibly changed. I must admit, I shuddered, but with an effort of will I pulled myself together. Probably, You can expect everything from her. It will be necessary to bring the case to the end. Enough of me being the missing spy cornet. It's a shame she found out my secret. Uncertainly, convincing myself, I approached the bed and began to slowly raise the gun. That will be truer. But a lightning strike interrupted my thoughts. My consciousness was clouded by the wild pain. With a last effort of will, I forced myself to press the trigger. However, I didn't hear the shot anymore. Everything plunged into darkness.